Democrats are rejecting the idea of paying for President Trump's border wall in exchange for helping hundreds of thousands of young immigrants avoid deportation. Our next guest will help us explore the Catholic approach to the issue. Joining me now is Alfonso Aguilar, president of the Latino Partnership for Conservative Principles. Alfonso, welcome back. As Catholics, we're called to welcome the stranger, but we also respect the rights of nations to secure their borders. So how do you think we approach this situation, especially from the border wall, from a Catholic perspective?
Well, it's always a difficult balance, and this is very important to understand. Catholic social justice doesn't mean that we have to just have open borders, as some people call it. It means that we need to balance being a welcoming nation of immigrants, but at the same time protect the security of our borders. People should come here in an orderly fashion. We also have drug trafficking. The majority of opioids coming into the country come through the southern border. So we should have border security, and even fencing. Fencing has worked in the past. It started actually during the Clinton administration. So having a wall system that impedes people from entering irregularly makes perfect sense. What is wrong is just basically to close the border, to shut off the border. I think Ronald Reagan said it best when he said, if we need to build walls along the border, let's make sure we have doors so people can come in. And I think that is the balance. How do we strengthen border security, build a wall system, but at the same time ensure the legal flow of the immigrants that our society and our economy needs?
This issue is very serious, of course, because now we're talking about the separation of children from their parents. So let's break it down. Should there be a distinction in this specific case?
Yes, well, we've always had separation of children in the case of parents who have criminal records or who have criminal charges pending against them. They're always separated. It happens with U.S. citizens. When somebody commits a crime, they're processed criminally, they're taken to jail, the child's not going to go with the parent. So it always happens. But what the Trump administration tried to do through their executive order was to process everyone who tried to enter illegally as a criminal. Therefore, they separated every single child from their parents. And I think that was wrong. Now, since then, they've rescinded the executive order. And what they're trying to do right now is to detain families indefinitely when they try to enter illegally. Now, indefinitely doesn't mean that they hold them for 2 or 3 years. Right. It means about 2 months until they can be properly returned to their home country. And I think that's something that is fair. Some immigrant advocates don't like that idea. It says that it goes against the so-called Flores Agreement that basically says that a child cannot be held indefinitely more than 20 days in detention. But in this case, they will be with their parents, so it's a different situation.
Yeah, and a very divisive issue. You mentioned the Trump administration. President Trump wants $5 billion for a border wall, but Senate Democrats say they're only willing to play with $1.6 billion. How do you see this playing out on Capitol Hill, especially in the next few weeks before the Christmas break?
Well, I mean, from what I hear and from the president's comments, it seems to me that we're going to have a partial shutdown. The president wants to get the $5 billion. Look, I think it's time for the Democrats, in order to create an environment where we can reach some consensus on immigration, to agree that we have a difficult situation on the border and that we need to expand our wall system. It's going to require more than $1.6 billion. So an initial $5 billion, it's an important first installment. Now, the administration also has to be flexible and recognize that $25 billion may be way too much. But an initial $5 billion, perhaps as much as $10 billion, $12 billion eventually, I think that's enough to expand our wall system and have a secure border.
Well, both sides feel very strongly on this issue, so we'll see how it all plays out. Alfonso Aguilar, president of Latino Partnership for Conservative Principles, thanks so much for your analysis.
Thank you.